Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Yoli Tamu. Incorporating exercise in your daily routine will not only help you physically, but it will help you maintain focus and develop mindfulness that will support you throughout your day. In today's episode, we are joined by Tai Donnell-Louis, a graduating senior with a major in biological sciences at the University of California, Irvine. Tai shares how a family member's illness inspired him to pursue a career in neuroscience. Find out how the practice of yoga and his morning routine help him stay strong, focused, and able to live a fulfilling life of intention. Enjoy. Tai Donnell-Louis of UC Irvine. How you doing?
Hi, Yoli. I am doing very well today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad to have you to talk about mind, body, and soul, how you're taking care of yourself as a student on campus. And you and I had some great conversation about neuroscience. That's something that you're into. So can you tell us about that and what inspired you to go that route?
Yeah, so I am a biological science major at UCI, but I do research, and that research is focused in neuroscience. I've done research in Alzheimer's and Down syndrome, as well as spatial navigation, and I'm looking to try further research in the future, and I guess right now as well. What got me started again in this path of neuroscience? I guess I was always interested in neuroscience growing up, I guess the brain more specifically. And, for various reasons, just natural curiosity, but also I had the influence of my grandmother who worked as a medical tech at the VA hospital, as well as my mom who initially went into school for physical therapy. Right now she works with hair, but that was my initial interest in that. And fast forwarding now into college, I had the opportunity to take my first neuroscience class at UCI, and I just saw all of the crossover to different fields, whether that be exercise science or stress, psychology. And because I have a lot of vast interests, that really stuck out to me. Around the same period of time, my grandmother also suffered a stroke. So as I was, exploring neuroscience, I found my first laboratory inside spatial navigation with some crossover into Alzheimer's. My grandma had a stroke, and we were kind of dealing with the ramifications of that. So, as I'm learning more about neuroscience and diseases, I'm also experiencing it in my personal life. And that kind of solidified it more so. Like, hey, I'm really interested in going further down this path.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Isn't it something how it sometimes takes something personal to connect us and we find a path by something very personal to us that happens in our family. So that's a very cool thing to bring up your grandma. Now, also, I'm so glad you also brought up your mother because, yes, that's how I was referred to you, Miss Tyler Donnell, for actually being my loctician. She's incredible. So in your field, you actually get into the brain, as you said. And then I'm wondering, what is the goal? You're just experiencing it now or exploring this major, or how do you plan to possibly incorporate it maybe in a professional career in your life?
Okay, so right now, my current resolution is pursuing a MD PhD. So from my experience in research, I found that I've had an interest in it. And, I like the idea about finding innovative ways, finding new things to help people on a widespread region, not just confined to an individual. But at the same time, I've also had this interest, growing up, being a doctor, with my grandmother and mom dabbling inside that field. So that has been an interest of actually pursuing a doctorate. And right now, actually, I started shadowing a doctor recently, Dr. Brian Hitt at UCI, who's a neurologist. And I guess I've been dabbling with the idea of pursuing this for a while now, but I've been hesitating because it's, such a large endeavor. But recently, with the help of a mentor, I was able to find a shadowing partner, Dr. Hit. And ideally, I would get my MD PhD and I would love to do clinical research inside neurodegeneration as well as rehabilitation. Because I would love to help people like my grandmother who have suffered from disease or trauma related to the brain and nervous system.
Yeah, that just touches me that this inspired you to pursue this path. Now, you and I talked before about your interest in healing the brain through trauma, and then also just about learning about improving quality of life. Speak to that about what do you mean by improving it, and what aspects of life were you referring to?
So for my grandmother, suffering a stroke, it's hindered her mobility as well as her memory. And I will say that it has made her a little more recluse. So with that being my experience, what comes to mind is, okay, how can you help people regain their mobility so they can be more independent and they're not, for lack of a better word, they're not shamed by what they've experienced. Because sometimes, you have a physical disability or a trauma that might look like that, right? Because you have a stroke, maybe you can't use your arm. You may be fearful of going outside. So, helping people in those areas, as well as just helping to motivate them. Depression is also an issue that people undergo when they have, trauma or disease inside the brain. So those are things that really come to the forefront of my mind when I think about rehabilitation or the quality of life.
Yeah, I love that you had said that as, just improving the quality of life because just as a young person, you're exploring these things. You're discovering what your quality of life is going to be, you know what I mean? And so you and I talked about ways and things that you do for yourself and habits that you pretty much use to take care of yourself. And so I thought that was very positive because this is a podcast that serves, that college freshman I told you that's coming in for the first time and they're anxious and, don't want everybody to know they're nervous, as well as, the college graduate and heading out. So what are you, a sophomore, a junior? Where are you now?
I'm a senior. So this is actually my last quarter at
Oh
UCI.
my goodness, you'll be graduating. So you are heading out. Okay. So with that in mind, and we talking about quality of life, how do you take care of yourself? What does that look like?
Yeah. So throughout the years, I've found that I could go in downward spirals, from day-to-day life stressors. If I don't take care of myself mentally, physically, it can just result in just me being negligent of myself in general. And I just try to find ways to negate that. So one thing I do is I have a morning ritual, morning routine, as well as a night routine. So typically I will get up around the same time every morning, roughly 6 o'clock in the morning. From there, I will go ahead and do some type of physical activity. So for me, that means yoga usually, but I'm always open to trying different things. And more recently, I'm trying to see if maybe I can do Tai Chi in the morning instead of yoga and see how that pans out. But from there, I'll go ahead and wash up and I'll journal for about 15 minutes, plan out my day, what are my goals, what has the highest priorities, and try to have that already mapped out in my head so I'm more focused. And then, have a simple lunch, maybe read a book, and I'll start my day. And at night, I typically will have a timer that goes off an hour before bedtime. Just lets me know to just cut off all electronics. And I go ahead and prep my day, move from there, and I'll do another exercise before I go to bed, yoga or just some light stretching.
My goodness. I mean, you've got to be one of the few Black males that I know that does yoga. I love it.
I mean, I've seen a couple guys on Instagram.
You've seen a couple, one or two. I love this. So now, did someone inspire you to embrace yoga and this great routine you have in the morning?
I guess there's different variables to that. So in regarding to yoga, I've just always been interested inside physical activity in general, and also more specifically in like Eastern physical activity, like martial arts. So I've had a slight interest in that before, but actually during 2020, right during COVID, I was actually taking class at my community college, El Camino, and I was taking a yoga class. That's my second yoga class at El Camino. And during that class, that's when, things were evolving and class was kind of canceled out. So in order to kind of continue on that, I decided to find some videos on YouTube and I found this channel called Mindful Yoga, which was yoga aimed towards men. I would say mostly like middle-aged men, but it was aimed towards men in regards to strength and mobility. So I really like that. His name is Dean, and I've been pretty consistent with doing his routines since then. And since I also do martial arts, I've noticed that since I've been doing that, I've had improvements in regards to my endurance as well as my proprioception or my awareness of my body. So that's really kept me more motivated to stick with that because I've noticed there's improvements in other areas. I'm really into like self-help and self-development. I have my personal like mindset is that once you stop growing, you start dying. So in this stage of life, I might change as I get older, but I believe that I want to be in place. I'm always growing. Even if it's not like a substantial change in my abilities or any particular area, I want to always learn and grow. So I guess from the period of me being in community college around 17 to once I graduated, I've been really interested inside learning more about developing and growth. So, I would look at videos, read books regarding developing my mind as well as finances as well. So I can't pinpoint a particular person, but I've watched like a lot of different people in those areas, including one of my favorites is Les Brown. And I want to say he is specifically in regards to like, developing routines, but that's been a big influence regarding towards how I move about on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a certain amount of self-discipline, and you certainly have it. So now as a senior, is there any advice you can give for a student that's listening that, may not have considered embracing yoga, particularly for the men that might be listening, but what does it do for you as a senior right now? How has it improved you mentally? Has it lowered stress? I know you guys came off a finals winter break. What has yoga done for you?
Yeah, so from a more biological perspective, exercise in general, it releases stress as well as it increases your ability to like learn and retain information. So if you're exercising on a regular basis, typically you're going to experience less stress and you're going to be able to learn things more easily. That's not my main reason for doing that, but I know for me, it kind of just, I guess it is actually. One of the main reasons why I do exercise in the morning is that it realigns my mind. So it helps to really focus my attention. And there is a neurological basis to that. Now, I haven't done all the research in regards to why that's the case. I have looked at it here and there, but I can't go into it right now. But there is a neurological basis as to doing exercise. It doesn't have to be yoga, but yoga is actually very good for, it is within the realm of mindfulness. If you've heard like mindfulness meditation. So the more mindful you are, the easier it's going to be to focus, the easier it's going to be to change behaviors. And if you're looking to kind of like enhance your life personally, as well as within the field, within academia, being able to be mindful and being able to stay focused, being able to reduce stress, those are all things going to be helpful. It's, for me, there's a benefit doing yoga because it's fun and it helps me with my martial arts. If that's not you, then it's fine. But, it's not just, flexibility in spiritual things. You can take the spiritualism away from it. That's like what Mindful Yoga does. And you can use it to build strength as well as mobility. And that was one of the things that I did experience in yoga. It helped me to really develop my core as well as like my back as well as my wrists. So I would look at if that's your main concern, like you feel like it's, I don't know, too flowery, you can think about like calisthenics. It's just like another form of calisthenics.
Yeah, I've seen athletes do yoga in the past. I'm like, wow, okay, everybody's into yoga. So cool. It's just good to hear it coming from a student because, like you said, it does release stress and they're building up their strength and their muscles. So, do you find that with your routine, it allows you to have a greater sense of time management throughout your day? Your day goes better because you're mentally capable and you have a sense of just organization.
Yes. So examining my past behavior, I can say when I start my day off without intention, lazily. I don't get up at a set time. I don't exercise. I don't journal. I tend to be unproductive. It doesn't mean I can't get things done, but there is more friction in regards to me doing things I know I should do. When I start my day off with intention, I do things I resolved to do previously. I get up at a certain time. I exercise. I journal. Those things help to really focus my mind, align myself, my behavior with my intentions, and really motivate me to do the things I know I should be doing.
That's fantastic. And I know you told me that you also volunteer at the Black Resource Center on your campus?
Yeah, so we call it the CBCRR. It's a very long name that my godfather came up with. The Center of Black Cultural Resources and Research. And I'm not formally a part of the organization, but since my godfather is the director of that center, I do like to help out. He does give me tasks that I can do to help around. So last year I was one of the MCs of the Black graduation at UCI. And that was a great experience for me because I'm trying to develop my speaking skills. I'm currently part of Toastmasters. And, I've had the opportunity to present my research multiple times. So it was a good experience for me overall, just learning to improve my speaking skills, public speaking skills more specifically. But it's a great center. I recommend you check it out if you're interested in UCI. My godfather, he'll be retiring soon, but he's a great mentor. He is a PhD in psychology, very well studied, and he is very much a giver, an advocate. So he will help any student. He, as a Black student, he prioritizes Black students, but he'll help any student that comes to his office and just ask for help.
What's his name?
Dr. Adisa Ajamu.
Okay, your godfather. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So you have taken advantage of all your opportunities, it sounds like, in college, and you've been.
I don't feel like it.
You don't?
I don't feel like it. I feel like I have the mindset of intentionality, but my behaviors don't always align with that. So I'm currently in the process of growth. I'm always trying to grow and get better than what I was the previous day. But there's still things that I feel like I lack in.
Yeah, of course. We're always going to be consistently growing. As you said, you're not growing, you're dying, right? So cool. So now I was just thinking, as I said, because you have taken advantage of so many great opportunities, it sounds like, on your campus, and just taking care of yourself and making a connection to the power of the brain, you know what I mean? And how to be stress free. So for that student that might be listening and, thinking about transitioning into college, what type of advice would you offer them as they come in and you head on out?
I would say success is based off of systems. You can't be 100% motivated or happy every day. You're going to have off days, probably more often than 110% days. So it's important to put into place systems that keep yourself in check. In order to do that, you have to know what are your individual needs, and you have to plan for that and what are your challenges. You also need to have people that keep you accountable, whether that's a friend, whether that's family, that you can come to and say, hey, have I been on track? Or they'll come to you and say, hey, you have been on track. With that, another thing in mind, I would say is networking. For me, I am an introvert, so that's been a struggle. That's been always been a struggle for me, especially because I was homeschooled as well. But as someone who is, constantly trying to learn more about the world, who is also interested inside entrepreneurship, one thing I have learned is that networking is the key to success. It's not really about what you know, it's about who you know. Especially, as a minority, on campus, there's like, 6% Black people on UCI or less. I don't know the exact estimate on top of my head, but it's important to really network with people, not just other Black people, but people in general that can help you, or that you can mutually help each other, that can let you know opportunities and things you would not have known about if, you didn't have that connection. And lastly, I would just say having a self-care routine, because, things are going to get difficult. And the quicker you get up, the more success or the more opportunities that you will acquire.
Mm-hmm. So good. So good. An introvert, huh? You have been great. You turned on for this interview.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Continued success to you. And I just can't wait to hear more. Now, if our listeners wanted to learn more about you, do you have an IG or maybe they want to get some tips or advice from you? If you can send them to.
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn page,
Oh, great.
which I always recommend, or what's been recommended to me is you should have one, especially if you're in business. It's just a good way to meet professionals. So my LinkedIn, Tai Donnell-Louis, feel free to look me up. I do have a Facebook account, but I don't really use it. So you can look at my name if you want, but it's not the best way to get in contact with me.
Okay. LinkedIn. I love that. See, you already know these things. Fantastic. Well, it has been a pleasure, Ty. Thank you so much. I'm glad we came together. I hope you have an incredible new year and congratulations on your upcoming graduation. I didn't even realize you were graduating. So pretty cool. So thank you so much. And you have a great week. And I'll talk to you very soon.
You as well. Thanks again.
All right. Take care. Thank you for joining us. Realign your mind and improve your focus with your own exercise routine of intention. For more information about other episodes, remember to subscribe to the Back to Me podcast, College and Beyond. I'm your host, Yoli Tamu. Leave a review at the end of this podcast, and if you would like to learn more about other special events, join the Back to Me podcast Facebook group, or simply text Back to Me to 833-206-4565. Until next time, be well.